I haven't been this in love with and this inspired by a film in such a long time. Right and Wrong, the 2007 film directed by Graeme, Clifford, and written by George Beckerman, completely spoke to my heart and I absolutely adored it. This is actually starring Kirstie Alley, and that's why I wanted to watch it. I have adored Kirstie Alley since I was 4 years old, so obviously straight away there was going to be at least one pull factor. But the fact that Kirstie Alley plays a screenwriter called Byrdie is something else that I adored. I'm a writer of fiction, I don't write screenplays, but because the protagonist was a writer who was going through some writing issues, not necessarily writer's block, but other aspects within Hollywood, basically pertaining to her age and the fact that nobody wanted to buy a script from an older person, an older woman at that, I thought it was something that was going to really engage me and something I'd find really fascinating, and completely from start to finish I was hooked. Byrdie takes drastic action to try and get the Hollywood moguls to pay attention to her screenplay. I'm not going to say what happens. I will say that she involves her nephew. Her nephew is played by Christian Olsen, and he goes by the name Jason Krueger in this, which I thought was brilliant. Elm Street's one of my favourite films. Just another little nugget that made this really speak to me personally. I absolutely love the narrative. I love the development of it. From start to finish, it kept me hooked. And yes, I'm aware that I'm probably quite biased because I am rather in love with Kirstie Alley. Had Byrdie been played by a different actress, maybe I wouldn't have loved it quite so much. By which I mean maybe I wouldn't have just become obsessed with it as soon as I watched it, which is very much the case. But I'm really thoroughly pleased with every aspect of this. Andrea is played by Stacy. She plays an important role in this, and her character I thought was pretty interesting. We didn't get to know too much about her personal life or her background. It wasn't necessarily necessary that we did for our understanding of the story or of the character development, but I think I would have liked to have known a little bit more about who she was. But if that's my biggest issue with this film, then I think it did pretty well. I cannot fault it. I'm sure if I didn't have on these rose-tinted Kirstie Alley madly in love with glasses, I would find fault with it. Because no film is perfect. And while I'm sitting here saying for me it was perfect, I'm sure it wasn't. But from my perspective, it had the potential to be amazing. Casting, perfection. Narrative could have been amazing, and it absolutely was. A protagonist who is a writer I love. I love the filming locations. I feel like there was this fictional film studio, and I feel like, and I'm not 100% confident that this is true, so somebody can correct me, but I'm pretty sure they used the Warner Brothers lot and the Warner Brothers exterior, just covering up the name and putting something else on there. Because I've been there, not inside of it, but I've been to Burbank, and I'm pretty sure that it was the exterior to Warner. Somebody please correct me if I'm not right, though. I absolutely adored it. Everything about it spoke to me. Everything about it was what I'd hoped for, and so much more. Instantly became one of my favourite Kirstie Alley films. I mean, I love her beyond words, and this narrative, for me, was everything I hoped it would be. I feel inspired. I feel slightly in love with it. If you haven't seen it, I can't recommend it enough. Right and Wrong. Dare I say it, there is nothing wrong with Right and Wrong. For me, it is perfection.